Presented by Union Bank of India and powered by LIC of India.
Good afternoon. My name is Indira Chandrasekhar and I'm the Curator of Literature at the Kalaghoda Arts Festival. This session is presented by the Union Bank of India and powered by LIC of India. It's a great honor indeed to have this panel at the literature platform of Kalaghoda. As I was putting my thoughts together, I realized that each of these panelists has, through their art and the activism expressed through their art, be it overt or inherent, been mired in profound controversies. It seems that those adherent to contrary views feel very strongly threatened by T.M. Krishna, Perumal Murugan, and Nandini Krishnan. As we state at the start of each session, the formal bios of each panelist is available on the website, so I will not repeat them here. T.M. Krishna, as everyone knows, is one of the great exponents of Carnatic music. One does not usually associate a classical musician, one who is of such high caliber, to be the trigger for protests and threats that shut down concerts. But Krishnaji causes such reactions because he has stood fast by his social and political views that question, disrupt, break caste and class barriers, causing disquiet in tradition-bound communities. We also welcome the poet who moved the hearts and minds of all of India when he withdrew from literature in January 2015 with the statement, Perumal Murugan the writer is dead, when his extraordinary one-part woman caused intense reactions from religious groups. His case in the Madras High Court led to the important ruling that there was no binding force or obligation that forced him to apologize and withdraw the books. Welcome, sir. Nandini Krishnan is no stranger to controversy at the Kalaghoda Arts Festival with Invisible Men. She's the translator of 2 renditions of Murugan's works into English, recent ones, I mean, and is here to play multiple roles of translator, spontaneous translator of poetry, and to guide the conversation. Thank you for being here. I'd also like to thank Devina Dutt of First Edition Arts for making this session possible. Today, at the first Beats and Cadences panel, where we look at ways in which poetry, music, poets, and musicians speak to each other, T.M. Krishna and Perumal Murugan will discuss the circumstances and process and significance and repercussions and essentially the beat and cadence of T.M. Krishna setting Perumal Murugan's poetry to music. Over to the panelists. Thank you everyone for being here.
Hi everyone, thank you so much Indra and thank you TM Murugan sir for being here. It's lovely again as always to meet you both, albeit online. And as usual, Murugan sir is sitting in the middle of a wonderful grove and T and I are cooped up in our rooms. Vanakkam Murugan sir. Sir, உங்களோட mute button onல இருக்கு. Unmute பண்ணணும்.
வணக்கம் வணக்கம்.
Vanakkam sir. So I think the story of your collaboration of TM and Murugan sir's collaboration is quite well known, but I heard or rather a very cinematic version from the 2 of them at a different panel. So this is what happens. Scene 1, TM Krishna finishes a kacheri. Murugan sir goes to him, gives him an envelope and walks off. Scene 2, Krishna opens the envelope, sees a poem and a request to set it to music. Scene 3, he announces at a concert that this is a poem written by Perumal Murugan, and there are whispers in the audience because this was right after the controversy over one-part woman, right after Murugan sir had announced his literary death. And TM says, yes, that's Perumal Murugan. And then he goes on to sing. So this is the version I've heard. What I liked in was what went on behind the scenes. So maybe TM, you can start. Sir, அதாவது இதுக்கு பின்னாடி நடந்த கதை, இதுக்கு அப்புறம் நடந்த கதை ரெண்டும் நாங்க தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும்னு விரும்புறோம்.
சரி சரி புரிஞ்சிச்சு எனக்கு. டிஎம் கிருஷ்ணா பேசிட்டுங்க.
சரி. So I mean well, you got most of it right, except the first part. That's okay. I mean, actually, the thing was, we met in Madurai. That's the first time we actually met. Both of us were participating in a book release. And of course, I knew of Murugan. I didn't know him. And I think we'd all come in solidarity in support of Murugan at the time when all the nonsense happened around him. But we never actually met. So I think it was Kandan Sundaram of Kalachudu who told me Murugan wants to meet you. And Murugan, the rest is true. He came to my room, we had a chat, and then he had this brown envelope. He didn't tell me what was in it. He said, "Ida paranga." And he handed over this, it was pretty heavy, like a lot of sheets inside. And he said, "Ida paranga ninga." And there were his Virithams. I want Murugan to actually tell you the story of the Virithams, because that's where our collaboration begins. And the Virithams themselves have a story. So Murugan, and the Virithangal ninga எழுதின டைம் நான் ஏன் கேட்கிறேன்னா, அந்த விருத்தங்களோட உணர்வு நான் சொன்ன மாதிரி நீங்க மிச்ச எழுத்தோட உணர்வு வேற மாதிரி ஒரு உணர்வு.
ஆமா.
சோ அத பத்தி நீங்க கொஞ்சம் பேசுங்க.
Let me just translate that question into English. So TM said he wanted to know a little bit about the history of the Virithams which Murugan sir had written. And for those who don't know, Viritham I guess can loosely be translated as verses, but I think they are set to meter. But unlike the traditional song, which has a pallavi, anupallavi, and several charanams, this is just a verse with no sort of defined ragam or where the musician.
So yeah, if I can just come in, and Murugan can go into the literary part. But the Viritham has a certain writing style. Murugan can talk about Virithams are written in a certain form. There are rules for Virithams. Now the thing about it is they are poetry, they are verses. But there is a kind of a structure to the way it can be written. Now, it doesn't mean it has meter in the traditional sense of rhythmic meter, but it has meter in the sense of what you could say syllabic form. Murugan can correct me if I'm wrong. And that has to be followed. After he speaks, I will tell you the musical aspect of a Viritham. That's very interesting. Murugan, Viritham pati pesunga.
And the emotions which go behind the Viritham and the sort of feeling that it induces in the listeners, different genres in which Murugan sir has written. So,
Yes.
இந்த விருத்தம் இப்போ நான் கிருஷ்ணா கிட்ட மதுரையில கொடுத்த விருத்தம் வந்து ஒரு 45 விருத்தம் நினைக்கிறேன். அது எல்லாமே நான் வந்து 2016வது வருஷம் எழுதுனது. அதாவது நான் இனிமேல் எதுவும் எழுத போறதில்லை அப்படின்னு சொல்லி அனௌன்ஸ் பண்ணினதுக்கு அப்புறம் எழுதுனதுதான். நான் கோடையின் பாடல்கள், சாங்ஸ் ஆஃப் அ கவர்டுன்ட்டு கவிதை தொகுப்பு வந்துச்சு இல்லைங்களா, அது எல்லாமே நான் அந்த காலகட்டத்துல, அந்த எக்ஸைல்னு அந்த காலகட்டத்துல நான் எழுதுனதுதான். அந்த சமயம் எனக்கு இந்த கஷ்டங்கள்ல இருந்து வெளியில வர்றதுக்கு கவிதைங்கிற அந்த வடிவம் எனக்கு வந்து ரொம்ப மிகப்பெரிய ஒரு உதவியாக இருந்தது. அதுல கவிதை எழுதினேன். அதே போல எனக்கு இந்த மாதிரி மீட்டர்ல ட்ரெடிஷனலான ஃபார்ம்ஸ்ல எழுதக்கூடிய பயிற்சியும் உண்டு. அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு வடிவத்தையும் நான் அந்த சமயத்துல எழுதினேன். அது எதுக்காக எழுதினேன் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, இந்த விருத்தம்னு சொல்றது தமிழ்ல கிட்டத்தட்ட ஒரு 1500 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னாடி இருந்து வரக்கூடிய ஒரு ஃபார்ம். சிலப்பதிகாரத்திலேயே இந்த விருத்தம் இருக்கு. அதுக்கப்புறம் பின்னாடி பெரிய புராணம், கம்பராமாயணம் போன்ற ஒரு மிகப்பெரிய காப்பியங்கள், எபிக்ஸ் இருக்கு பாருங்க, அதெல்லாமே இந்த மாதிரியான விருத்தங்கள்ல எழுதப்பட்டது. இப்படி ஒரு பெரிய ட்ரெடிஷனல் கொண்ட ஒரு ஃபார்ம் அந்த விருத்தம்ங்கிறது. அதனால அது வந்து பின்னாடி தேவாரம், திருவாசகத்துல எல்லாம் கூட அந்த மாதிரியான விருத்தம், கடவுளை பற்றி பாடுவதற்கு அதை பயன்படுத்தியிருப்பாங்க. அதனால எனக்கு அந்த சமயத்துல மாதோருபாகன் அந்த தலைப்பு வச்சு நான் நாவல் எழுதினேன். அதனால பிரச்சனை வந்துச்சு. அந்த மாதோருபாகன் மீதே சில விருத்தங்கள் எழுதணும் அப்படின்னு எனக்கு தோணுச்சு. ஏன்னா அந்த சமயத்துல நம்முடைய கஷ்டங்களை நாம வந்து கடவுள் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு நம்பிக்கை, அந்த கடவுளுக்கு நோக்கி நாம பேசுறோம். அப்படி பேசுவதன் மூலமாக நமக்கு சில ஆறுதல் கிடைக்குது. அந்த அடிப்படையில இந்த மாதோருபாகன்னு சொல்லக்கூடிய அந்த அர்த்தநாரீஸ்வரர் கோயில் எனக்கு நான் பிறந்ததுல இருந்து சின்ன வயசுல இருந்து ரொம்ப பரிச்சயமான பழக்கமான ஒரு கோயில். அதனுடைய மலை படிகள்ல பல ஆண்டுகள் என்னுடைய பல விடுமுறை நாட்கள் அங்கதான் கழிந்தது. என்னுடைய அப்பா வந்து சோடா விற்பதற்கு, சோடா கலர் விற்பதற்கான கடை வந்து வச்சிருந்தாரு. அந்த மலை மண்டபங்கள்ல உட்கார்ந்து விடுமுறை நாட்கள்ல சோடா கலர் விக்கிறது என்னுடைய அ அ வாழ்க்கையில முக்கியமான விஷயமா இருந்தது. அதனால அந்த மலை கடவுள் பற்றி எனக்கு ரொம்ப அ நல்லா தெரியும். அவ்வளவு நெருக்கமான அ ஒரு உறவு உண்டு. ஆகவே அந்த மாதொருபாகனிடமே என்னுடைய துயரங்களை சொல்லணும் என்று சொல்லி, இந்த வடிவத்தை நான் எடுத்து எழுதினேன். இது எதுக்காக இத எழுதுறோம் அப்படிங்கிற அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு திட்டத்தோடவோ, ஒரு கான்ஷியஸாவோ அது எழுதுனது இல்ல அப்படின்னு தான் எனக்கு நினைக்கிறேன். முடியாத துயரில் நான் மூழ்கி கிடக்கின்றேன் அப்படின்னு ஏதோ ஒரு சமயத்துல அந்த அடி எனக்கு தோணுச்சு. அத அடிப்படையா வைத்துக்கொண்டு அப்படியே அப்பப்போ எனக்கு ஒரு மன கஷ்டமா இருக்கக்கூடிய சமயத்துல எல்லாம் இப்படி ஒரு ஒரு விருத்தத்த எழுதிக்கிட்டே வந்தேன். அது எனக்கு ஒரு வகையில என்னுடைய கஷ்டங்கள்ல இருந்து விடுதலை பெறுவதற்கான ஒரு வாய்ப்பாக இருந்தது. இப்ப கிருஷ்ணா சொல்ற மாரி அது வேற விதமான ஒரு எமோஷனல கொண்டிருக்குது அப்படிங்கிறதுக்கெல்லாம் காரணம், அது எந்த விதமான திட்டமும் இல்லாம, அது என் மனம் வந்து இயல்பாக என்னை மீட்பதற்கு செய்து கொண்ட ஒரு மருத்துவம் அப்படின்னு தான் நான் நினைக்கிறேன். அந்த அடிப்படையில தான் அந்த விருத்தங்கள் நான் எழுதினது. நந்தினி ரொம்ப பேசிட்டேனா டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ண முடியுமா?
Can you all hear me? The thing was, I temporarily got thrown out of the meeting, unfortunately, so I can translate.
I can help you in the rest. Don't worry. You just go ahead.
Can you?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
You can hear me, right? But for some reason, I'm not able to hear anyone. So TM, if I could, yeah, now
Yeah.
I can. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, perfect. All
So,
right. So now I can.
I can help you with the rest which you missed. Don't worry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think, yeah. So what I did get was that, when the two of you met in Madurai, Murugan sir handed over about this thick sheaf, this thick envelope that you received had about 45 virithams in it. And these were all written around 2016, the year after he had announced that he would no longer write. And then he went into some detail about the region in which he had grown up, this temple around which his life had revolved, where his father had a stall with soda, which used to sell soda bottles. And this is a memory which is tied very deeply to his childhood. The rest of it was very unclear to me, so it came in patches. So I'm terribly sorry.
So that's okay. So I can just quickly, I'll give a brief, like a summary. So Murugan also spoke about the history of the form called Virtham, saying that you find Virtham right from the time of ancient Sangam poetry. And it is often used to, shall we say, to bow to the Almighty, to the God. Even in Tevaram period, you find Virtham. So Virtham is a very vibrant form, which is usually used in praise of the Lord. And there's something, if Murugan can grasp what I'm saying, if there's something also very personal about the emotion in a Virtham. In general itself, you find the Virtham has two aspects. That there is, I'm adding to what he said, there is that emotional coefficient. It's also very descriptive. It's a combination of description of the emotion and the emotion being something about the God or surrender to the God. In his case, it was a time that he was going through a very difficult period. And to him, like he said, that was his medicine. So he said one of the reasons the emotions in the Virthams are distinct from his rest of his work, because there was no plan for this. He was not writing for a reason. He was not writing a book. He was not publishing. He was doing it because he needed it. He wanted it. And therefore, that's what he quite beautifully said. I just want to add a couple of things about the Virtham, and I want to sing a couple of lines for you. We've lost Murugan suddenly, but I'll nevertheless go on. So there's thing about the Virtham is, you can say that you can sing any poetry. Of course, if the poetry has lyrical musicality, if I can use that word. And by this, I mean basically having rhyme to some extent, having some prosody in it allows musicality. So for a musician, it's actually the sound of the syllables and a repeat of sound. That's the magic. And every time you repeat a syllabic sound, that's prosody, literally. But in music, it can become magical because I will shift its imagery tonally. So the same sound will get an imagery that you didn't get before. Another thing that Virthams allow, and Murugan's Virthams allow, is for you to keep using the word and pasting the previous words and adding the meaning to a line. So I'll show you an example of the two. What mistake did I do in life? Tavikka vidingendrai. Why are you letting me suffer? Tiruvadiyai vittennai. You're chasing me away from your feet. Sappaigal seigendra salakam kandume. When you see these useless people doing all these juggleries and Machiavellian things, why are you not just finishing them off? Suttu posukka unvili thiravamal. Why not opening your third eye? Kappendru kadavai adaithu karuvarai irulil. You are staying inside the Garbhagriha, the sanctum sanctorum. Kanmudi kidappadum yeno seriyo. You're closing your eyes. Is this right? Muppuram erithu mangai kidam kudutta. You are the one who burnt all the three directions, and you gave Mangai, consort, half your space, which is Ardhanarishwara. Malai mel vadigendra Madhurubhagane, who is on the hill. This is the gist of the meaning. So just see what I can do, even if you didn't understand the meaning, even if you don't know the language, just listen to the sound play, which I can now do with this. Tappenna seiden, tappenna seiden, seiden, tappenna seiden, tavikka vidugindrai, tavikka vidugindrai, tappenna seiden, tavikka vidugindrai, tiruvadiyai. Then I can add a word. Un tiruvadiyai. It's not in his word, but I'll add it. Un tiruvadiyai vittennai turatti adikkindrai. Tavikka vidugindrai turatti adikkindrai. Tappenna seiden tiruvadiyai vittennai. You can see how much I can just play. I'm just throwing the words wherever I want. The meaning never gets destroyed. That's the beauty. The meaning will never get messed up. Tavikka vidugindrai sappaigal seigendra salakam kandume. Sappaigal seigendra salakam kandume. Suttu posukka sappaigalai suttu posukka sappaigal seigendra salakam kandume. Suttu posukka unvili thiravamal kappendru. Now there's also prosody. So suttu posukka, kappendru. All this sonically is a very important form. So this is what I play with. It's not just word meaning, but it's also sonic meaning, if I can use that. Then there is another possibility that Virthams allow, is if the same word comes again. There's another Virtham of his. Aruden. Aruden is I cried. Okay? And now he will play with crying. Literally play with crying. It sounds kind of an unusual expression, but that's what he does. Aruden. Kangal sivakka kadarigaruden. Aruden. 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 Ullam kumuri vedikka. Kangal sivakka. Aruden. Pongum vedanai kotta. Pongum vedanai kotta. Aruden. 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 Ullam kumuri vedikka. Kangal sivakka. Kadarigaruden. Poitha kalam neekka. Aruden. What happens to the listener is you start hearing Aruden, Aruden, and it's like you're adding different meanings to the notion of Aruden, which is what he's doing, but you also can do it musically. Kangal sivakka, that is your eyes are red. Ullam kumuri vedikka, your heart bursts. Pongum vedanai kotta, it's the overflowing of sadness. So all this, a beautiful Virtham allows the musicality to play both sonically, because Ariden is heard. After a point, I don't have to sing Ariden. You will sing it. If I say Pongum Vedanai Kotta, you've heard Ariden after this. I don't have to say it.
Mm.
That's the magic of brilliant writing.
True. The Viritam which you sang just a little before this, the previous one, Enna Seidhen, that I'm just going to read out the meaning as you were singing it. So, though it said the words were simply, "What did I do that was so wrong? You let me suffer and you chased me away." And that's pretty much what it says. But just those lines, you played with them. So you said, "What did I do wrong? I did. What did I do? You let me suffer. What did I do wrong? The divine feet, your divine feet. You chased me away. You let me suffer. What did I do wrong? You're letting me suffer." And people with these, you despite seeing the designs and sort of mechanizations of these morons, that is something which sounds so lyrical and beautiful. It's not something that
Exactly.
when I say it in English, I'm sure people can't see the sort of magicality of just repeating those words, but the effect that it has. So I think that brings me to my next question.
It almost becomes like a high. I'm just going to add. It almost becomes like a haiku in some way. The moment if you just take the first two lines, it almost becomes something like a haiku in the way you read it. That's something. And another thing that Murugan does, I'm just going to add, is he uses a lot of words, both in the Virithams and the compositions, that are specific of his district or his space. For example, the word Salakkam, he will tell you. In fact, I didn't even know what it meant. When I asked him, I thought it was Salagam. I remember even discussing it with him. Salakkam is a word that I had never heard. And that is very specific of his Kongunadu.
ஆமா
Murugan.
ஆமாங்க ஆமா அது மாதிரி அது இயல்பா எனக்கு அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு எங்க பகுதி வார்த்தைகள் வந்து கவிதைக்குள்ள வந்துரும். அது தவிர்க்க முடியாம வந்துரும். அது அது நிறைய பேருக்கு அது புரியாது. என்னுடைய தொடக்கத்துல நான் எழுதின கவிதைகள்லயே கூட அந்த மாதிரியான வார்த்தைகளை நானு இயல்பா பயன்படுத்தியிருப்பேன். அப்புறம் கொஞ்ச காலம் கழிச்சு அதுக்கு அடிக்குறிப்பு போட வேண்டியதாச்சு. ஃபுட் நோட்ஸ் போட்டு சொல்ற மாதிரி ஆச்சு. ஆனா இப்போ கிருஷ்ணா மேட்டாங்காடு காஞ்சு போச்சுன்னு பாடியிருக்காரு. அதுல மேட்டாங்காடுங்கிற வார்த்தை வந்து அந்த மாதிரியானதுதான். அது இல்லைன்னா அந்த பாட்டுக்கு வந்து உயிரே இல்லை. அந்த வார்த்தை தான் வந்து உயிர் கொடுக்கக்கூடியதாக இருக்குது. ஏன்னு சொன்னா இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு பகுதியில அந்த பகுதி சார்ந்து மக்கள் பேசுற வார்த்தைகள் இருக்கு பாருங்க, அது வந்து வாழ்க்கையோட இணைஞ்சிருக்கக்கூடிய காரணத்தினால அது உயிருள்ள வார்த்தைகளாக இருக்குது. அதனால நிறைய கீர்த்தனையில கிருஷ்ணாவே கேட்டாரு, நீங்க இயல்பா நீங்க உங்க டைலக்ட் என்னவோ அந்த மாதிரியான வார்த்தைகளை நீங்க சாதாரணமா போடலாம். நீங்க இதுக்காக கர்நாடக சங்கீதத்துக்காக பண்றோம்னு சொல்லிட்டு நீங்க வந்து அந்த வார்த்தையெல்லாம் தவிர்க்க வேண்டியது இல்லை, அது தாராளமா பயன்படுத்துங்கன்னு சொன்னாரு. அது எனக்கு பெரிய ஒரு தெம்ப கொடுத்தது. அதனால என்னுடைய பாடல்கள்ல நிறைய அந்த மாதிரியான வார்த்தைகளை பயன்படுத்தியிருக்கோம். மேட்டாங்காடு காஞ்சி போச்சுங்கிறது, மேட்டாங்காடுங்கிற வார்த்தை வந்து அந்த மாதிரியானதுதான். பொதுவான தமிழ்ல அதை வந்து மானாவாரி நிலம்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. வானம் பார்த்த பூமி அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. அதுக்கு எங்க பகுதியில மேட்டாங்காடு அப்படிங்கிறதுதான் வார்த்தை. அந்த வார்த்தை வந்து இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு கர்நாடக சங்கீத கீர்த்தனைக்குள்ள வந்ததுங்கிறது எனக்கு மிகப்பெரிய ஒரு சந்தோஷத்தை கொடுத்துருக்கு.
சோ நிறைய பேருக்கு மட்டும் இல்ல சார், கூகுள்கே நீங்க உபயோகிக்கிற சில வார்த்தைகளோட அர்த்தம் தெரியாது. So I'm speaking now as his translator because there were many words even in his stories which I would Google to save myself the embarrassment of calling him up and saying, "Sir, what does this word mean?" But Google would have no answers, and Murugan sir would have all the answers. So what sir said was that he tends to use a lot of words. What comes naturally to him is to use words which have a very specific local and regional usage, really. Like one example was that the song which recently went viral, the collaboration which he and TM did on the farmers' protest, it says Metangadu Kanji Poche. And Metangadu is not a word which is typically used to refer to the sort of the agricultural land. The word which the Tamil words which are usually used is Vanam Partha Bhumi. So he says that he's very happy that one TM gave him the freedom to use the words with which he was comfortable, and that this has kind of found, this vocabulary has found its way into mainstream, in a way, mainstream Carnatic music. Because TM also specifically said, please make sure that you use those words which are used in that region. And he says that this is what gives it life. Because these are words which are inextricably linked to the lives of the people in that region. இதை ஒட்டி எனக்கு ஒரு கேள்வி இருக்கு. அதாவது நம்ம தமிழ் மரபுல வந்து நாட்டுப்புற பாட்டா இருக்கட்டும், நம்ம செய்யற ஒவ்வொரு விஷயத்துக்கும் ஒரு பாட்டு இருக்கு. பிறப்புக்கு சரி, மரணத்துக்கு சரி, வேலை செய்யும் போது, பெண்கள் வந்து சந்திக்கும் போது, இல்லாட்டி போர் வீரர்கள் வந்து போருக்கு போகும் பொழுது, திரும்ப வரும் பொழுது, எல்லாத்துக்கும் ஒரு பாட்டு இருக்கு. ஆனா இந்த காலத்துல நம்மளுக்கு வந்து அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு இது இல்ல, அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு பழக்கம் வந்து கொஞ்சம் விட்டு போன மாதிரி இருக்கு. சோ எப்போ இது விட்டு போச்சு உங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சு? உங்களோட இந்த ஒரு ஹிஸ்டாரிக்கல் கான்டெக்ஸ்ட் கொடுக்கணும்னா, எப்போ இந்த நாட்டுப்புற பாட்டு, ஒவ்வொரு செயலுக்கும் ஒரு பாட்டு ஒட்டி பாடுறது, அது எப்போ விட்டு போச்சுன்னு சொல்லுவீங்க? நீங்க யோசிக்கும் போது நான் ஆங்கிலத்துல சொல்லிடுறேன். So the question I asked was, in Tamil there's a sort of tradition of songs being sung for every event, for in fact every deed. There are songs which one sings while cooking, while women get together, while children are being put to sleep, when a child is born, when someone passes away, and there are specific terms for each of these. And these were, when the harvest is going on, when people are working in the fields. So at what point did this sort of disappear from our lives is what I want to know. And sir, அதனால நீங்க வந்து உங்களோட தமிழ் கல்வினால ஒரு வகையில பாட்டிலேயே யோசிக்க ஆரம்பிச்சீங்களா? So my question is also that because of his education in Tamil, had he at any point, and also maybe because of the fact that he grew up in this rich agricultural land, had he begun to think in song at some point?
இந்த மாதிரி நீங்க சொல்ற மாதிரி நம்ம வாழ்க்கையில பிறப்புல இருந்து இறப்பு வரைக்கும் ஒரு கட்டத்துக்குமான பாடல்கள் அப்படிங்கிற சொல்லக்கூடிய அந்த மரபு வந்து நான் முழுசும் விட்டு போயிடுச்சுன்னு நான் சொல்ல மாட்டேன். இன்னைக்கும் ஏதோ ஒரு விதத்துல வந்து அது தொடர்ந்துகிட்டு தான் இருக்குது. ஏன்னா நமக்கு இன்னைக்கு வேற இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் அந்த நாட்டுப்புற பாடல் வடிவம் அப்படிங்கிறது தான் முழுசும் இல்லை அப்படி அது இல்லாம இது திரைப்பாடல் வடிவம், இப்போ இது கர்நாடக சங்கீதம், இந்த மாதிரி பலவிதமான பாடல் வடிவங்களும் இன்னைக்கு வந்து பயன்படுத்தப்படுது. இப்போ கூட ஒரு இறப்பு வீட்டுல பாடுறதுக்கு பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஆட்கள் இன்னைக்கும் மைக் வச்சு பாட்டு பாடுறவங்க இருக்கிறாங்க. ஒரு இறப்புனா, ஒரு கிராமத்துல இறப்புனா உடனே ஒரு இது ரேடியோ போட்டாங்கன்னு சொன்னா உடனே தெரிஞ்சிடும். அந்த பாட்டுல எடுத்த உடனே போனால் போகட்டும் போடான்னு பாட்டை போடுவாங்க. அது போட்டோன்னு எங்கேயோ யாரோ செத்துட்டாங்க அப்படின்னு தெரிஞ்சிடும். அதே மாதிரி இப்போ இது கல்யாண வீடுனா நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா பல பாட்டு வச்சிருக்கிறாங்க. இப்ப வாராயன் தோழி வாராயோ பாட்டை போடுவாங்க. இப்ப இந்த மாதிரி வந்து அந்த பாட்டு பாடுறத வச்சே நாம இங்க வந்து கல்யாணமா, திருவிழாவா, இறப்பா அப்படிங்கறதையெல்லாம் தெரிஞ்சுக்கலாம். அதே போல மைக் வச்சு பாடுறது இன்னைக்கும் இருக்கு. இன்னும் நிறைய பேர் வந்து அந்த மாதிரி பாடல்கள் பாடுறவங்க இருக்கிறாங்க. இப்ப ஒரு வயசானவங்க இறந்து போயிட்டாங்கன்னா இரவு முழுக்க வீட்டுல வந்து வச்சிருந்து அடுத்த நாள் தான் அந்த உடம்ப வந்து எடுப்பாங்க, தகனம் பண்றதுக்கு எடுப்பாங்க. அப்ப இரவு முழுக்க என்ன செய்வாங்கன்னா மாறி மாறி பாடல்கள் பாடுவாங்க. கும்பி அடித்துக்கொண்டு மாரடித்துக் கொண்டு பாடுவது, இதெல்லாமே இன்னைக்கும் வழக்குல இருக்கு. சுத்தமா இல்லைன்னு நான் சொல்ல மாட்டேன், இருக்கு. நிறைய மாறிடுச்சே தவிர ஆனா இன்னும் இப்ப இருக்குது. சிறு நகரங்கள்ல, பெருநகரங்கள்ல மாற்றங்கள் இருக்கு. கிராமங்கள்ல இன்னைக்கும் இதனுடைய தொடர்ச்சிகள் இருக்கிறத பார்க்கிறேன். அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு சூழல்ல இருந்துதான் நான் வளர்ந்து வந்தேன். அதனால எனக்கு சின்ன வயசுலயே எந்த விஷயத்தையும் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு பாட்டாக மாற்றுவது, ஒரு கவிதையாக மாற்றுவது அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு வழக்கம் அது எனக்கு இயல்பா படிந்து வந்தது. அப்புறம் நான் தமிழ் கல்வி கற்ற போது எனக்கு நம்ம கிளாசிக்கல் லிட்ரேச்சர்னு சொல்லக்கூடிய இந்த ஏட்டு இலக்கியம், அந்த மரபும் எனக்கு தெரிந்தது. அதனால இந்த இரண்டும் எனக்கு தெரிந்தது அப்படிங்கிறதுனால இந்த இரண்டு வகையும் நான் என்னுடைய எழுத்துல பாத்தீங்கன்னா கலந்து வர்றத பார்க்கலாம். இப்ப எப்படி ஒரு லோக்கல் வேர்ட்ஸை நான் பயன்படுத்துறேனோ அதே மாதிரி ஒரு கிளாசிக்கல் லிட்ரேச்சர்ல பயன்படுத்தக்கூடிய ஒரு வார்த்தையையும் நான் இந்த பாடல்கள்ல, கீர்த்தனைகள்ல பயன்படுத்துவேன். அது மாதிரி இது 2ம் வந்ததுங்கிறது உண்மையிலேயே அது ஒரு வகையான ஒரு கிஃப்ட்ன்னு தான் நான் நினைக்கிறேன்.
Okay. So what Sir said was that he doesn't believe that this is something that has really left us. In a way, this tradition of singing a song for every occasion or even every action does persist in some way. It may not be folk songs, which we call Natapura Paattu. It may not be folk songs, but he says sometimes Tamil film songs are in a way appropriated for certain events. Like for instance, if someone passes away, there is a song, it's a Shivaji Ganeshan song which says Ponal Pogatum Poda, which means if something goes, let it go. Which doesn't pour the is also it's a term which refers both to someone passing away and something going. So it's not something which one would typically associate with death, which is why TM and I began to laugh when he said this is the song which is sung. Or when there's a wedding, the song which they use is Varayu Tori, which again, which sort of tells everybody that, hey, there's a wedding going on here. So he says in some way, even if this tradition that we think of as ancient does not exist in its form anymore, it has changed form and it does exist. And he says this is the sort of music, the cadence to which he grew up. And therefore, this has worked its way into his writing. He learned very early on to think in song, to write poetry. And with his Tamil education, it gave him a very strong classical foundation. And he says it's something of a gift that these two happen to come together for him. So on that note, TM, I want to ask you, this song, I've actually put down the English translation of the song Nara Malam. Now, this song literally, it means stinking feces. That is what it means. Now, this song is to do with manual scavenging. And
Go on. Sorry, go on.
So, yeah, it has to do with manual scavenging. And this is what I found very interesting was that in the note which Murugan sir had sent me, he'd written Ragam Bhairavi. So I don't know whether it was something he suggested to you or whether it was a Ragam you chose, but I do know it's a very complex, typically, it's a very classical ragam. The first thing I think of when someone says Bhairavi is Viriboni, which is a little far from Naramalam. So I was wondering how you choose the ragams to which you set his songs. What speaks to you?
Sure. I mean, before that, I just want to add just one thing to the previous conversation. Is we should remember that in the urban world, especially in Tamil urban world, the whole Ghana music tradition is actually the tradition of singing to life situations. Ghana music is something, it's an unusual form that actually formed in the urban spaces of Chennai, of Madras, when migrant workers started moving in, especially from Tiruvannamalai districts, mainly, at least as far as I know. And you have an entire musical tradition coming from funeral, but then it develops an entire ethos and culture of the marginalized, their lives, their fights with the police, sexuality, so many things. So in a way, Ghana is what you could call everyday music of the village in what is an urban story entirely. One other thing, observation I want to make is one thing that has changed the necessity for song is when udal vazhaipu or physical labor dropped. Now, if you see the fisher folk, for example, a lot of the songs that were the rowing songs are lost because of mechanization. Before they used to row and sing these songs. Now, very famous, Elelo Ailesa, we all know, though that sound, right? But now with the motor boat, nobody sings Elelo Ailesa. So a mechanization has also played a role in, I'm not going to say loss because I think it's sometimes a romanticization of it. So I'm going to be careful. It comes from elitism. I would just say something just going away from existence because of situational changes. But like Murugan says, it's replaced by something else in a metaphorical or a literal way. So now to your question, Naramalam Allalama took long time to come to form. I'm sure Murugan is smiling. Yeah, he is. So this was a discussion. I mean, I think an important part is that some of the songs he just wrote and gave it to me. Some of the songs I asked him. I said we discussed themes. Naramalam is one of those things which we actually discussed for a long time. I had asked that, can we write something on manual scavenging? And I think both of us struggled in terms of, okay, what is the positionality of writing a song? What are we talking about? Who are we speaking for? Are we speaking about? These are all very difficult questions. And I remember Murugan and I having many conversations about it. I think we'd have a conversation and then we won't talk for a few months. And then he'll call and say, no, seriya varla. He said, I didn't get it yet. And it went on. And I think that's wonderful, when this process happens, when there's this internalization between both of us for a long time. And then this song came into being. Now, selection of a raga, it's actually, many people think that you sit and you choose a raga. You don't. You actually pick up the text, look at it and sing. That's actually what you do. Sometimes it just falls into place. And sometimes you look at it, doesn't work out. You just close the sheet, leave it alone for another couple of days, and then again open it up and pop, a statement appears. It's tuning a song, it's that first line. If that, in Tamil, they'll say, முதல் வரி அமைஞ்சிடுத்துனா பாட்டு அமைஞ்சிடும். எழுதுறதுக்கும் அப்படிதான் தெரியும் எனக்கு. If that first trigger, pallavi அமைஞ்சிடுத்துனா, if he gets the pallavi in shape, then the descriptions and the substantiations of the statement being made can be developed. Tuning is the same. It's that first line. Now, why did I choose Bhairavi? Okay, like I said, I didn't choose Bhairavi, but I had one thing in my head. I'll tell you what I had in my head. Is that the tendency to make what you could call subjects like this, or subjects that are contemporary, part of what is the lighter section of Carnatic music is very high. For example, Subramanya Bharati, the great Bharatiyar poet, his compositions always find place as the last part of the concert, almost in what we call the Tukada section of the concert. So they are not serious music. That's the truth. It's not the meaty part of the music. I'm very clear that I want these compositions to be part of the meaty part of Carnatic music. So it needs to be rendered in what is considered classical, within quotes. I'm not subscribing to these tags, but it's also important to use them to subvert them. So that's a very conscious decision. It's a very conscious decision that I am using this heavy tag and this mainstream acceptance of something to say, in that then you can also sing on Krishna or Rama. You can also talk about the struggles of the manual scavenger. And that juxtaposition, I think, creates an interesting dialogue. And that's what interests me and excites me a lot. And there's one little other story to this song, which I'll tell you. I'll sing a line from it. So when Murugan,
I'd like people to know what it means. So I'm just gonna. I'd like people to know what it means before you sing it.
Sure.
So I'm going to read out the English translation, if that's okay. So this is literally what it means. I haven't translated it like I would if it were to be published. But so it means, how it goes is, stinking feces, can it be gathered by hands? Stinking feces, can it be gathered by human hands? Can there be such everyday suffering? Would that make for a civilized society? Is this a civilized society? And are we human at all? The hands that dig out the slush, the hands that dig into food, the hands that gather loved ones into comforting hugs, the hands given by God. In septic tanks to die, to climb into sewage to live, to sweep away the garbage lying in piles, to clean up the unclean. Is it fair that the world asks for human hands? The world will hawk and spit at us. The world will hawk and spit, hawk and spit, hawk and spit. That is literally what the song means. And now, to hear TM's rendition, you wouldn't guess that these are the lyrics.
Yeah, I mean, that's the interesting part, right? So that's what music also allows you to do. It allows you to, for a second, not realize what is being sung, and then pop, it hits you literally on your face, and it's like, okay, what's going on here? I mean, art lies in that shadow play. If there is no, I mean, literally, whether it's literature or whether it is singing or writing prose or poetry, there is always shadow play. If you don't have shadow play, you will not. There's nothing to highlight, right? So you're always hiding something and focusing on something, or over focusing on something because somebody then something else pops up. You're always doing this little play, right? So even in music, when you tune it, you are playing with this. And there was a little thing that happened between Murugan and me before I sang it for the first time. He gave me the song, I tuned it, all done, and then I think it was at the concert place or maybe a day before, he suddenly was sitting next together and he said, Krishna, the Nara Malam, அதுக்கு பதிலா P வச்சுக்க முடியுமா? Now P is literally shit. Okay, malam is feces, and malam, of course, is not a completely Tamil word, if I can use that. P is the actual word for shit. So he was actually quite not very sure whether it could. I said, why not? So what I do now is I play with both. I sing Nara Malam, so that because Malam still seems slightly more acceptable, but then I will flip it and throw shit in it. I throw P at one point because you are trying to also shock people. I mean, you are doing something here. You're not, this is clearly a message which is musical, which is all. Then I would also expand on a line like I would do with any big kirtana of any other big composer. Because, so I think there's a lot of room here, both poetically and musically. So I'm just going to quickly just go parts of it. Naramalam Allalama Naramalam Allalama Kaigal Naramalam Allalama Manida Kaigal Naramalam அள்ளலாமா மனித கைகள் நாரமலம் அள்ளலாமா நாளும் துன்பப்படலாமா நாகரீக சமூகமாகுமா நாமும் மனிதர்கள் தானா நார தீயைகள் அலாமா நார தீயைகள். It's also, you almost make peace sound beautiful. You know what I'm trying to say here? So you actually, so you don't say P on your face, but it hits you, but you just, you have to use these little this technique. So nara manara, because then it hits even harder. சேரள்ளி உழுகின்ற கைகள் சோரள்ளி உங்கின்ற கைகள் ஆறுதலாய் அணைக்கின்ற கைகள் ஆறுதலாய் அணைக்கின்ற கைகள் ஊரும் கடவுள் கொடுத்த கைகள் நாரமலம் அள்ளலாமா நாளும் துன்பப்படலாமா நாரபியை அள்ளலாமா. I'll stop there.
It's also beautiful. I was just thinking when I heard you sing P, of all the other Ps I've heard in Carnatic concerts, which have no reference at all to this P. I mean, I'm probably inviting trouble, but you know, the Sanskrit.
Absolutely. You know, I want to add, you know, what makes.
Whether it's Vatapi Ganapatim or Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi.
Yeah, you know, I think what's important about the collaboration here is also I think it's in general, people who have, even poets whose poetry or whose work has been included within the umbrella ambit of Carnatic music, write in a certain linguistic manner, write in a certain content manner, and that fundamentally comes from their cultural inhabitation. That's about it. So the whole, even though so you basically entirely, there's a homogenization of perception, a conditioning that even I carried for a long time. I think what makes Murugan's and my collaboration, I believe, important is because it comes from a person who is from outside that domain, whose worldview is not the worldview of what is within the domain. Now, this allows for a kind of coming together of worlds that usually don't meet sonically. For example, sor is a word you will never sing in Carnatic music. Forget P. Sor, I mean, it's a very simple Tamil word. You will never hear uttered in a Carnatic song, right? So you will hear aharam. You will not hear sor.
Right.
So even to hear sor or ser, you know, or even the use of so much sa instead of sha is itself interesting. I think all these are dimensions that this collaboration brings, which allows for something quite vibrant in perception and in our own work.
Right. Since we are running quite fast out of time, there's a couple of questions I did sort of desperately want to ask you both. You've seen eye to eye on so many issues, like whether it's to do with caste or whether it's to do with, environmental activism, farmers' rights, all these things. But I wanted to know whether there's any issue on which you've had disagreements or on which you have had differences of opinion. சார் அது அவர் யோசிக்கும் போது நான் உங்களை கேட்டுடுறேன். அதாவது உங்க 2 பேருக்கு இடையே ஏதாவது கருத்து மாறுபாடுகள் இல்லாட்டி ஏதாவது விவாதங்கள் இருந்திருக்கா? இவ்வளவு சாதியா இருக்கட்டும், உழைப்பாளிகள் பற்றி அந்த இதுவா இருக்கட்டும், நிறைய விஷயங்கள்ல வந்து நீங்க ஒத்து போறீங்க. ஆனா ஏதாவது கருத்து மாறுபாடுகள் இருந்திருக்கா?
அப்படி எனக்கு சொல்ல முடியல. கருத்து மாறுபாடுகள்னு சொல்ல முடியல. ஒரு ஒரு ஜாதி பற்றியோ, மற்ற விஷயங்கள் பற்றியோ ஒரு கருத்து உருவாக்கி கொள்வதில 2 பேரும் விவாதிச்சிருக்கோம். அந்த மாரியான விவாதங்கள் வரும். அத பற்றியான ஒரு ஒரு விசன், ஒரு பார்வை கிடைக்கிறதுக்காக, இப்ப எனக்கு ஒரு விஷயம் பற்றி தோணாத ஒரு பார்வைய வந்து அவர் முன்னால வைப்பாரு. இப்ப அவரு சொல்லும்போது பாத்தீங்கன்னா, இப்ப மலம், பி அப்படிங்கிற சொல் தான் இதுல வரலைன்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன். அவரு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, சோறு, சேறு கூட வந்தது இல்லைன்னு சொல்றாரு. இந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு கூடுதலா ஆட் பண்ணக்கூடிய விஷயங்கள். அப்படி வந்து இப்ப நாங்க வச்சிருக்கக்கூடிய கருத்த வந்து இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் ஒரு என்ரிச் பண்ணிக்கிறதுக்கான வகையில தான் எங்களுடைய விவாதம் வந்து இருந்திருக்கு. பெரும்பாலும் கிருஷ்ணாவுக்கும் எனக்கும் கருத்துக்கள்ல வந்து மாறுபாடுகள் இருக்காது. ஏன்னு சொன்னா, இப்ப இந்த விஷயங்கள் பத்தி யான பார்வைகள் ஒண்ணா இருக்கு. அதுதான் ரொம்ப முக்கியமான காரணம். இன்னும் சொல்லப்போனா, நான் நினைக்கக்கூடிய பல்வேறு விஷயங்கள அவரு ரொம்ப போல்டா முன்வைக்க முடியும். நான் அந்த அளவுக்கு முன்வைக்கிறதுக்கான வாய்ப்புகள் இல்லைன்னு வச்சுக்கங்களேன். நான் வந்து ஒரு கவர்ன்மெண்ட் சர்வன்ட்டா இருக்கக்கூடிய காரணத்தினால, இதுலயெல்லாம் நான் கொஞ்சம் அடக்கி ரொம்ப வாசிப்பேன். அவர் வந்து அதையெல்லாம் வந்து ரொம்ப போல்டா சொல்றதுக்கான இது உண்டு. அதெல்லாம் எனக்கு ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்கும். அது.
So Murugan sir said there's no real difference of opinion as such, but he feels that in somewhere through their discussions, a sort of maybe somewhere there's been a little bit of argument and concession, and perspectives have been altered to some extent. So he says, for instance, he had only thought of, this word malam and p, whereas when TM just now spoke about sora and sera as words which you would never find in a Carnatic concert, that was something which sort of brought him into this thing of, oh wait, I haven't thought of that before. So he says in many things, because he's a government servant, there are certain things which he can't speak about as boldly as Krishna can, and he likes the fact that Krishna is able to put forward these views. So TM, if you have any quick thoughts on that before we open the floor to questions.
Yeah, I mean, I just like to say, yeah, I don't think there's been a major difference in opinion, but I think what has been what always happens between both of us, I know Murugan agree, that one of us says something, and then that would trigger a response, usually from the other, that the one person is not heard, and that then becomes a long discussion. And What actually happens is we see nuances that at least I see nuances I've not seen before. And then this discussion goes on like for about at least 30, 40 minutes. So I think there's a lot of enrichment, and many things he says stays with me for a very long time. I plagiarize him like hell. Though he says he doesn't speak up, I must say that I plagiarize him quite freely. There's one statement that he made that is going to stay with me all my life, because that I'm going to end with, because I use it very often. Of course, I do attribute credit for that to him. Is what he said about God. When we were discussing Madhur Bagan, and we discussed his father having that soda shop right below there, and we've discussed God, we've discussed many things, And I remember one of the early meetings, he said something to me. He said, I'm not a devout person, but if the emotion of bhakti comes in me, I don't reject it. And I think that's one of the most beautiful ways to describe faith, irrespective of what your intellectual position on faith is, irrespective of that. And so I think there are a lot of things we share. And we do discuss, and we do argue, but I don't think there's any major disagreement specifically between us.
Brilliant to know, and what a privilege it has been to be part of some window of the process that you go through, the two of you, in bringing music and poetry and activism and political statement to all of us. There are so many questions really, but many of them are to do with language. But since we are out of time, I think it's really beautiful place to end just with the idea of God and faith, and secularism and politics. And so I think we'll end there. A big thank you from the Kalagora Literature Festival, Murugan sir, TM sir, and Nandini. Thank you so very much for being here. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye. It was really
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nandri.
Nandri.
Thank you, Nandini.
Thank you, TF, as always.
Yeah.
Vanakkam, sir.
Okay, vanakkam.
And bye, Indra. Thank you so much. It was a real pleasure to host this session.
Yes.
Thank you, Indra.
Thank you.
Bye.